Hey guys, what's going on? It's Nimbus, and today is a tips and tricks video for Fortnite console players. So it doesn't matter if you're on PS4, Xbox, whichever one you're on, this will be the best tips for you. Ooh. Anyways, let's get right into the video. So tip number one is sensitivity. Well, general settings is what I would give out for tip number one because um, for example, let's say you don't have aim assist on for some reason or turbo building on, reset building choice. Um, so this setting, it makes you reset the chosen building piece when switching to build mode. So like if you have stairs as your like last piece that you built and you switch to your weapon or whatever and you switch back to build mode to build, it resets to the wall. So whenever you keep trying to build or equip the build mode, it automatically goes to the wall. And if you don't like that, you can turn it off, and it's just personal preference. Honestly, I leave it on just so that walls are the first thing I built for cover. That's just me though. It's up to you though. So next is turbo building. Turbo building is something that's really helpful for console players because if you have this off, um, turbo building basically means you can press down like a wall and you can spin in a circle while holding down that button and it builds while you hold down the button. So it's pretty useful. It's not a bad friggin' option. Honestly, it's not bad at all. Without it, you're just gonna keep clicking buttons and it just gets repetitive and your finger starts to get tired. So, what other settings are there? Auto door open doesn't matter. I turn this off because organization in this game is important when it comes to loadouts. I turned auto run off. Um, what else? Sensitivity. There we go. So sensitivity is something that you're gonna have to experiment, and this type of sensitivity is what I came out with. So I play on 6.6. It's not too slow or not too fast. It's somewhere in the middle. Um, the ADS sensitivity is pretty low, or half. It's half. That's what I find most comfortable. And then controller scope sensitivity is 0.78. So, you play on invert. I don't play on invert. That's just me once again. Um, and if you want vibration on, that's up to you as well. That's pretty much it, honestly. So yeah, that's step number one is just general settings and your sensitivity. Let's move on to step number two. So tip number two is your controller layout. And this is really important because your controller layout determines how you're going to play the game and what you're most comfortable with. So, at the very beginning of the game, you would play on old school, which means you would shoot normally with R2 and L2 and aim with L1 R1. The shooting controls are pretty much the same for every single controller layout. The only difference is the building, the switching guns and building materials, and what else? I think traps maybe. I'm not sure, but the only difference I know is the switching guns and buildings. So this old school setting, you would press triangle over and over to either switch weapons or to switch building platforms and whatnot. Personally, this setting is a disadvantage to people that play this, and it's nothing wrong playing with whatever you're most comfortable with. But if you want to start like building a lot faster and a lot more consistently, because you might have times where you build something and you press something on accident and it just completely screws you because the triangle setting you can't go back. You got to keep pressing it it just doesn't allow you to go back to whatever you just passed, you know. So that's this control setting. I would give it out of 10, like a 2 out of 10, honestly. It's not that great, but if you're comfortable with it, you know, that's you. Do you? And so the next one is Combat Pro. So Combat Pro is what I used to play on. It's way different than the old school setting. This time though, when you press triangle, you pull out your pickaxe. But when you're switching weapons and building platforms, you use your R2 and L2, or no, I'm sorry, L1 and R1 button. Um, this setting was really good before Builder Pro came out, and I'll explain Builder Pro in a minute. Combat Pro is one of those settings where it's a lot more better than the triangle setting. It allows you to use double shotgun, so you can go back and forth, switching weapons, back and forth on switching to, I don't know, stairs, walls, and whatnot for like a build battle or something. This took a while to get used to. It was really tough to get used to. But this is I would rate this a 6 out of 10. It's not bad. It's a lot better control scheme, and people could easily feel comfortable playing this setting. I would recommend this setting, and yeah, it's not bad. That's all I gotta say. So the next one, this is what I play on, and this is what I recommend to everybody out there playing on a controller, is Builder Pro. Now what Builder Pro is, it's completely different from old school and Combat Pro. So when the triangle is the pickaxe, same thing as Combat Pro. Your inventory though and your map has different buttons. So when you go back to Combat Pro, if you look to your left side where it says inventory and all that, and then you go back, there's different settings because Combat Pro you use your triggers and your bumpers to do stuff with guns and buildings. But Builder Pro, it's all about it's a mix of Combat Pro a little bit with the shooting and the switching weapons. That stays. The shooting and the and switching weapons, it allows you to feel like it's Combat Pro. But when it comes to building, it's way different. When I first started getting used to this, I was so used to Combat Pro, it drive me nuts. It drive me crazy to start playing this thing because it was hard to get used to. That goes with everything. You get used to something, it's all muscle memory, right? But once you start trying something new, your muscle memory just starts to like get confused. You know, you start to get confused and you get frustrated, but over time you'll get used to it. And yeah, I personally, when this feature came out, I instantly wanted to try this out. And the difference of Combat Pro building and um, Builder Pro setting is way different. It's way better, a lot more consistent. I give this a 9.5 out of 10. Simply the fact that you can build a lot quicker and a lot more consistently. If you get used to it, you can build so much quicker. So much quicker. I've gotten into games where people have a hard time because I would build so fast. They would have a hard time keeping up the high ground. If they were playing on the same setting with me, then the fight would be more interesting because one of us could be high ground and the other guy could be at high ground and whatnot. So that's pretty much tip number 2 is pick your controller setting and whatever you're comfortable with or whatever you want to get used to, that's on you. So yeah, that's tip number 2. Let's move on to tip number 3. Alright guys, for tip number 3 is combat slash building defensively and offensively. I know this is a big tip. This is the most important tip that I think is a key or the key to Fortnite. You know, this game consists of combat and building, right? So you can build defensively and offensively, and obviously it's up to you on, you know, what gun to use at close range or for long range to shoot those guys. For basics purposes, if you haven't played any shooter games before, typically the assault rifles in the games are meant for long range. In this case, for Fortnite, it's a long range weapon to destroy some armor, to weaken them a little bit, to expose their health, so to speak. And for shotguns, they're close range. Some machine guns, close range to medium, sort of. And sniper rifles, I mean, you could use a sniper rifle as well, but for this distance, it's medium to long range, so it's okay for assault rifle and sniper rifle. Doesn't matter which one. But moving on, I am in theater mode, and this is a good example of playing defensive and switching to offensive building and eliminating your opponent. So I saw this guy. I came out of retail, as you can see on the map on the top right. I came out of retail to try and rotate around the edge of the circle, and I saw this guy. So you can see their names, but in game, you cannot see their names. Everything is blind. You're gonna have to see somebody from a naked eye. So this is very different from in game, but I think with this tip and learning from this tip can make you think in a way like, you know, like quick decision making and critical thinking helps a lot with this. And if you hesitate or hide or do anything that could cost you in a big way, it'll definitely be a pain and you will not feel good about it. But it's good to fix your mistakes and learn from your mistakes so that you can go back to replay mode and see what you did. And this is why I like replay mode, so you can re-examine and think about what you did wrong and so you could change it the next time. So anyways, let's get into the gameplay. So I have a hunting rifle, as you can see, for long range. He didn't see me. I tried to take the shot and I missed it. And then I switched to my assault rifle and try to weaken him a little bit more so that when I get close up, I can shoot him with a shotgun easily, one shot, because he has no shield. So at this point, I'm missing my shots. Nothing hits him. And props to that guy, because he built the wall. That's defensive building. That is called defensive building. Build around cover so that you can see where your walls getting shot from. If you notice where you're getting shot from, your walls will tell you. And that is good awareness and good thinking if you think that. Know where your enemy's at and then think about and plan out what you're going to do. Cuz he might push you or he might build himself a one by one as well, try to build freaking Taj Mahal or something. It all comes down to situational awareness and situational plays. So I try to push up and kill this guy. I was trying to catch him peeking here because he didn't know where I was. But once I start shooting, he'll know where I am. Definitely. So I try to catch him peeking and it didn't work. Is he really healing? It says he has no health. Or it says he has full health. Alright, let's slow it down here. So, what I was thinking here is, okay, maybe he's playing scared or he doesn't know how to fight. So that was my thinking. I could tell because this guy wasn't doing much. So I just decided to make a push. I decided to make a play. And what I'm doing here is offensively building. So what that means is while I'm trying to push him, I'm going to build as well. and try to see what he does, and then that's how I know what to do in that situation. So I build stairs, try to get a little bit of high ground, and he notices me building. So what he tries to do is shoot me. I try to shoot him. That's what I do. I try to catch people peeking, but I suck so bad I can't even hit my shots. So this is a good place from him. Shoot my stuff down. But he's also wasting time and wasting ammo. This could backfire, or this could help you out. You could try and shoot someone's stuff down, but if they're gonna keep pushing you and you're just gonna keep shooting and wasting your ammo and wasting your time, it won't be good for you, because he's gonna be putting a lot of pressure on you when you think you're putting pressure on him. So you want to limit as much as you can, and you want to hit your shots. I know this game doesn't tend to like you don't really know where the bullets go because the bullets are all random. But if you could get some shots into somebody while they're trying to come to you, it'll probably help you in the long run. But most likely they'll just build in front of you, and there's nothing you could do about it. Or maybe you can, but this is a tip video, so I'm trying to help someone out that doesn't really know how to play the game. So I was defensively building there with the walls, as you can see. Hold on, let me switch to drone free. I built walls so I could defensively calculate where I could push. Oh, I didn't mean to. I'm sorry. Speed up here. Come on. So yeah, defensively building just like that, because he's shooting at me, so I need to defensively build, and I start going for the offensive push. Now, if you've seen a lot of Fortnite clips, a lot of people, they build stairs and build wall, build stairs, build wall, and that's why controller settings is so important when it comes to things like this, because it allows you to have leverage. It allows you to do a lot more things than most people would think to do, you know? So this is a good technique for people to try to learn, is to build stairs and then build a wall so they don't get easily shot down on their stairs. That's like a fundamental thing in the game, honestly. I also build platforms to gain that extra cover so that my stuff doesn't get shot down. So it's a very hard technique to get to learn, but with practice you can do it. Trust me, anyone can do this. Honestly, it just takes time and getting used to, and I would consider this at least not a basic skill, but it's like more of an advanced skill. But that's just me though. So he tries to throw grenades. See why you build walls and the platform is to deflect bullets and anything that he dishes out, like explosives. Now, if he had stickies, that'd be a different situation. But even with stickies, I don't think the that platform right there wouldn't be destroyed. It's just the stairs, or no, I'm sorry, the wall and this platform would be destroyed, not the stairs, because they're covering the stairs. So this technique I recommend this technique. It's really useful. So once again, he tries to destroy my stuff, but what he should have done is a really good player would think, okay, he's trying to push me, so I need to start building defensively. What most people would try to do is build as high as they can. Like let's take this guy's 1x1 and imagine him building a 1x1, like 4 walls around him all over and over, and tries to get high ground. But that's another tip I'll give out in a minute. Imagine that, and that's defensive building. That's good defensive building from him. But since this guy didn't build and he tries to destroy my stuff, he's legitimately wasting precious time. That precious few seconds could cost him the game. That's how much this game like tests you on. Like it's with any game basically. Like you try to do something and it's taking too much time and this person is just closing in on you, you won't be able to do much. So let's see what I do here. So I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit. So I do that technique. I see those grenades didn't have any effect because it kept hitting my wall. So what he did was, I give him props because he got out of his base and he tries to push. I try to shoot him, but sadly I'm missing shots. Okay, that's something I should not do, because you want to maintain high ground, especially when someone's not shooting at you and they walk around like that. I would have switched to my AR and started shooting at them. That's what I would have done. But I didn't do it here. And now that I realize that, going back to that fixing mistakes and learning from your mistakes thing about what I just said, this is a perfect example for me to tell myself, say, hey, if something like that happens, you should shoot him with an AR. And if he tries to shoot back, build defensively, build around. And if you need to build down, build down. You know, it comes down to whatever situational plays you made. So I end up killing him because he didn't know what to do. He tried to push me. I don't know what he was doing. He tried to push me and build stairs. I don't know what that was, but he died sadly. So yeah, that's my tips. That's my tip number 3 on defensive building and offensive building. So once again, if you want to learn this technique, I play on Builder Pro. I'm comfortable with that setting now. And you wouldn't be able to do this with normal Combat Pro setting or the old school setting. You will never be able to do that. If you learn Builder Pro, you can definitely learn this technique, because only in Builder Pro you can do this. And this technique helps a lot, since that grenade was deflected from the wall, and it's not easily what's the word? It's not easily friggin' exposed. There we go. It's not easily exposed to the stairs, so that my stuff wouldn't be shot down or destroyed, whatever. Because once that stair goes away, everything just crumbles down, and there goes my building. So this is offensive building, and the way I maneuvered to set myself up to push him was defensive building. So I hope this tip helped you out, and we're gonna move on to the next tip. Tip number 4. Okay, so tip number 4 is a very, very crucial and important thing. And tip number 4 is all about loadouts. And loadouts mean your guns, your healing, whatever you got. So let's see if I can is there a way I could show out my layout, or no? No, I don't think it does. No, it doesn't. Okay, so I can talk about loadout in a second. Basically what loadouts mean is there's different types of loadouts. There's one for aggressive and there's one for passive. And most people, what I would do is, when it comes to loadouts, I think about, you know, what do I need to defeat my opponent? What's more important than just having, like, I don't know, 4 big potions, a shotgun, a sniper, and a assault rifle. I may have healing, but my gun loadouts are a little scandalous, just a little bit worrisome in a way. Because what this game does is, if you have a shotgun, you might think you're good, but you need to do something with that shotgun. In this game, you need something else for the shotgun. So if you have a pump shotgun, which does a lot of damage up close, even though lately this game, the shotguns have been terrible, especially the pump. if you get like 9 damage or something, it happens. It happens to me. Don't worry about it. The shotguns are busted, I know. But this is a tip video. I'm trying to help somebody out that needs, help from anybody that plays this game a lot more. And shotgun, you can either combine it with another shotgun or like a submachine gun automatic type of weapon. Um, so typically most people would use a double pump or double tack, or not double tack, a pump and a tack. And in rare cases, it would be pump and a heavy shotgun. For me, I don't mind using a pump and a heavy. I like pump and a heavy because with with the most present time right now and the game that is right now, the pump is the slowest to pull out and shoot somebody with. It is very slow. Not only that, when you shoot somebody and it has to cock back, it's more delayed than anything. Like the pump just feels useless. It's like you have to hit somebody, otherwise you're screwed. But that's why a second weapon comes in handy to combine it with a pump, like a tack or a heavy, or some machine gun, whichever. And the tack and the heavy are both, they could switch pretty quickly, faster than a pump, definitely. And so a pump and a heavy is just a good combination in my opinion. Most simply because they both do a significant amount of damage if you hit them. Personally, I'm not a tack shotgun type of person. I just don't like the tacks. It feels really weak to me, inconsistent, and throughout me playing the game, the tack has just been always the worst. Unless if you have no choice but to use attack, then that's one thing. But loadouts, once again, oh, excuse me, are very important. And if you want to use an aggressive loadout, you can run a double shotgun or a shotgun submachine gun as like an aggressive layout. If you watch streamers that play this game, like Myth, Ninja, or Daquan, those guys use double shotguns whenever they can, cause it's that consistent. It helps a lot. It really does. Obviously, you need an AR. Everybody has an AR at least. You can choose to have a med kit. It's fine to have an AR, a double shotgun, and 2 heals. It's fine to have that. But in my opinion, having shields are more important because they take the damage for the health. And if you need quick healing, you gotta just and it just comes down to what you're comfortable with and what you like. And for me, the passive loadouts don't really work out. That's why there's 2 different types of loadouts. Aggressive is when you have at least 3 guns and 2 healing, because the max capacity you could ever have is 5 things in your inventory. So if I ever find something like a med kit that I think I might need later, then I'll take it with me. But if not, I would switch it with some kind of weapon like a sniper rifle, and then I would have minis or something as just like an emergency in case if I need it, What else? Passive loadouts. Passive loadouts are like you have an AR, you only have 1 shotgun, sniper rifle, and then 2 healings. Or maybe you might have an assault rifle, shotgun, and 3 heals, like a big shield, medkit, and minis. So, I don't recommend it. I would stick more with the aggressive loadout just because you have more of a variety, and it definitely helps out. But passively, if you play passive, um, most of the time it doesn't work out. You try to hide in a bush, it's not it's not a year ago where camping in the bush was a meta. That's not a thing anymore. If anyone out there that's good and experienced, they check bushes. They will. If they have a rocket launcher and it's some type of explosive, they'll shoot down a tree, they'll shoot down houses, they'll check everything. Cause they will find you eventually, and you'll see them with a friggin' tall building sitting up there scouting out, and they see you, they'll catch you. They will definitely try to eliminate you. So passive loadouts doesn't typically work out because it makes you play passive. And playing passive, I'm not saying playing passive is bad. It's just playing passive way too much or at the top 5 or top 10 when it comes down to that. Um, you will most likely be eliminated. And so you gotta know when to play passive and when to play aggressive. You gotta learn two different things. So when you're in a game, everything just comes down to situational plays, and it's up to you to make the plays, right? So if you want to play passive in that situation, you can or you can't. So you got to ask yourself those, like, can I do this passively? Can I do this without getting myself killed, or things like that? You don't want to shoot somebody and then somebody else snipes you from somewhere else, you know? That's too passive. You want to scout first, play a little bit sneaky, if you will, and you can pick them off with a sniper. So yeah, that's tip number 4. Um, and we're gonna move on to the last tip, which is tip number 5, and we'll get into that shortly. So tip number 5 is basically it's one of those things where you gotta be very patient, and you gotta be able to have the right mindset when it comes to certain things. And that tip is all about staying focused, having situational awareness, and having the skill to win, basically, and to have fun, of course. And the last tip, what I mean is just keep playing the game. If you're into the game, if you love the game, to get better, you're gonna have to discipline yourself. You're gonna have to tell yourself what you did wrong and what you did right. Now, if you win the game, that's perfectly fine. You won the game. You did something great, or something happened that allows you to win, and maybe you won it just by pure skill. You know, it doesn't matter how you play. It's just the way you play is what determines how you're gonna keep playing the game, right? So if you die, let's just, for example, like if you die from something that's so petty and so like understandable, and you make excuses out of that, it's pretty sad to think like that, because you'll never learn from that way. And if you keep complaining, keep crying about something that you could have, easily fixed, then you'll truly never learn from your mistakes. And that's just a fact, honestly. I do it sometimes too, but then I calm down, I tell myself, hey, it's okay. It's a game. You can learn from things. For me, personally, I need to start learning how to build a little bit more consistently. This is probably my warm-up game. I didn't really do too well, but I still won though. So having fun and having that mindset and that fun, goofy mood is a really good mood. Feeling frustrated and angry, it just affects your playstyle. It affects your judgment. Getting mad is never a good thing. And this build battle, it's just plays like this. Like plays like this help. Do something that your opponent will never expect. It just makes you better. I'm sorry for pausing I'm trying to watch and talk at the same time. But tip number 5 is just all about personal like thinking, mindset, and the way you approach things. So for me personally, I have over about 450 wins. That's what I have. And not a lot of people can get that many wins. And I get those wins because I know I have the skill to defeat someone in a battle royale game. I know I can do it. Anyone can do it. It just takes the right amount of practice and the right amount of mindset. You can't make excuses. You gotta go along with it and learn from it and fix it. And depending on how you think and how you look at things, if you look at it the right way, in an honest way, you'll see an improvement. Trust me. If you're a beginner and you see this video, I want you to play this game like you played it for years. And what I mean by that is enjoy it, right? If you enjoy it and you love it, keep playing it. You know, what's wrong with enjoying things? Nothing. Nothing's wrong with enjoying things. If you enjoy it, keep doing it. If you love it, love the hell out of it. It's always good to have that positive vibe while you play the game, because it makes you stay focused. And it's funny things like that guy just fell off. That is pretty funny. Things like that will happen, and it'll just like open things up. Things will start opening up. And so I think this game is coming down to the wire. Yeah, there's two guys left. So I really hope you guys enjoy this tip video. Tip number 5 was just kind of a cheesy ending, I guess, but it's true though. Having the right amount of discipline, teaching yourself things, it's more than you think. So any newbies that have just started playing this game, the game is free, which is, everyone doesn't complain about free things. Well, there's nothing wrong with free games. So this typical free game is not garbage. It's a very successful game. I recommend it to anyone that wants to try things out. It's a battle royale game. It's a tough game now because back then nobody knew to build. I played it when it first came out, and I have a ton of fun with this game. I really did. You're doing wrong and not complain and make excuses. You'll be a better person, but also you'll be better at improving at the game, you know? This is taking forever, man. This gameplay should be ending by now. I'm gonna speed this up a little bit. Yeah, see, buildings like that, that's defensive building. So tip number 1 was general settings. Tip number 2 is your controller settings and comfortability. Tip number 3 is defensive and offensive building and combat. victim of before was loadouts, and number 5 is just that general, like, have the right mindset. Don't be that guy that just sits there and complains. And don't get me wrong, things will happen, you will get mad at it. So if it's something that there's nothing to do about, don't worry about it. Things like that happen, and there's nothing you can do about it. It happens to me plenty of times. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Let me know what you thought. Like, if you enjoyed. That's about it. GG's. See you guys next time.